is still the case today. We go into schools with 10-year-old girls and we say, right, draw us up. When you think about technology and a career in technology, what do you see? They will draw men in round glasses, wearing sandals, very geeky.
One thing I wanted to get you to unpack, Lisa, is in 2004, you probably walked into a very male-dominated world. Is that fair to say?
It's certainly very fair to say.
And,
yes.
But I understand that you guys are doing a lot. Obviously, it's very different now, but there's still a long way to go, isn't there?
Yeah, there is a long way to go. However, we have moved a long way. I mean, when I think back to it, I was always the only woman in a room, or it certainly felt like that in 95% of the discussions that I was in. And it's something you sort of get used to. And I remember in those early years always saying, oh, well, it's okay. I've never felt on the back foot because of it. But I think that's part of what women condition themselves to say and to feel. We really have seen massive progress. I mean, if I look just in technology, particularly, technology was probably one of the worst areas. Technology and financial services, put the two together.
It's strange that, though, isn't it? Do you think that's bizarre? Because when I was in school, the girls were probably just as good, if not better, than the boys at maths and things. You know, all the crucial subjects. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. But
we do a lot of work. So we have an initiative called IT's Her Future, which I actually was a sort of sponsor that we started it 5 years ago, and it's made a massive difference for us. And one of the key issues there, Gareth, is when you look at how girls perceive technology, and this is still the case today, we go into schools with 10-year-old girls and we say, right, draw us up. When you think about technology and a career in technology, what do you see? And they will draw men in round glasses, wearing sandals, very geeky. You know, I think back to the 80s when I thought about technology, when I worked for my father, you had Sir Clive Sinclair, you had Bill Gates, you had,
Alan Sugar.
Yeah, exactly. You think about it. Was it anything that really encouraged women to want to be part of that? It didn't feel that way. Now that's changed. You look now and there are so many female role models around technology.
Yes, indeed.
And actually, as we know, really to develop, when I talk about those products and needing to develop outcomes, you need diversity of thinking in order to create great things.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
The brilliant thing now is that's being understood far better. And also the nature of technology and the accessibility of it doesn't require everybody who works in technology to be a deep-rooted techie at heart. It requires very different skills about collaboration, seeing the opportunities. How do you work together? How do you interpret business issues? How are you open to learning? So I think it's a world which has become much more much easier for women to be part of.
Yeah.
However, we've still got a lot to do to change the perception within the schools and throughout. We've had a great initiative where we have a really inspirational lady who works for us, a lady called Safi Mirza, and she and a few others go out and they teach coding, and they go and teach coding to girls in schools. In fact, through lockdown, they opened out, and I think they taught 20,000 people across the world, all different countries, to code in Python, just to open people's mind to the art of the possible. It's just fantastic to see what you can do. So we're making progress. It was massively male-dominated, but we still have a long way to go. I think we've created parity at more junior grades, but keeping women in technology, really driving that through an organisation is tough.
You're doing some incredible things in KPMG, but what do you say to your clients and the companies you work with who are not as mature, let's call it, as KPMG, and have got these things in place? What do you say to these organizations to change culturally, to make it more inclusive?
Well, again, I think it's very much, many of our clients like to hear about what we've done for ourselves. And,
yeah, sure. You walk the walk there, I suppose, don't you?
yeah, totally. But also they challenge us. clients are looking at us and saying, we want you to come to us with diverse teams. We need you to demonstrate you're serious about these things. And it's not just superficial, and it's meaningful. And I think that's true. Everything has to be authentic, doesn't it? So it's really about having those conversations up front, being prepared to challenge some of the expectations that clients may have, to enable us to be flexible. And generally, those sort of conversations are treated with respect and valued by clients. So I don't think there's any organisation that isn't having the same challenges and trying to address these things. And it's something that we have to get through together and actually work through what does work and what doesn't work. I don't think anything's perfect. I think it's an ongoing challenge. And particularly, as you say, we're making progress on diversity, ethnicity, but also social diversity. Neurodiversity is something I'm particularly passionate about. In technology, we should be the best for embracing neurodiversity. We really must get good at that. But that means you have to think about it in everything you do. You think about accessibility. You think about how you create an environment for people to thrive.
That's a really interesting topic. I interviewed the CIO of the Met Office, and he was talking about neurodiversity over and over again, as being the main thing that you need in your organization, which I completely agree with. But how do you go about finding a more neurodiverse workforce? Is it through psychometric testing? Is it through just changing your processes to bring in people from different backgrounds? How would you approach that?
So I actually think we have a very neurodiverse population by default. In a business like ours, you actually do attract people in, and inherently many people maybe haven't been labeled as neurodiverse, but maybe neurodiverse. But the really important thing is creating an environment that can sustain people's success who are neurodiverse, because it's very different. So if you look at the performance management process, for people who are neurodiverse, you have to articulate and explain to them how to interpret some things, how to be able to measure things. The way they see things is very different. And we have to challenge ourselves to be able to understand these things, and therefore judge people in different ways and help them in how they judge. And I work with some amazing people who've really helped me to go through the conversation and say, look, as I come into this, if you're promoting people, we get people to do panels. That can be incredibly hard for somebody in a particular neurodiverse sphere. So we've got to create an environment that enables them to succeed without putting them under pressure and expecting them to do something they just can't. It's really hard, but it's so rewarding when you do it, because you realize the amazing things that people bring in different ways.